Welcome back, YouTube Nation. A3R here again with PRJKT68. So we're going to do a little follow-up video of the previous videos I've made on repairing the rust in the passenger side floor pan of my 1968 Mustang. So in the previous videos you've seen that the car has a little bit of rust, probably caused from a leaky cowl or a leaky heater core that got the passenger side carpeting wet and subsequently got some pinhole rust in the floor pan and some pitting. So the previous owner brought the car into a shop where I purchased the car. The car's been media blasted, the car's been epoxy coated, and that's how I purchased the car. So the vast majority of the rust in the floor pan has been blasted out and then epoxy coated, so it's about 95% encapsulated when I got the car. So I went ahead and I wanted to repair that rust, but I don't have the means nor the time to cut the rust out and install a new floor pan. So I did some research on how to repair it, and what I found was that quite a few people have used fiberglass to repair that rust. It's quick, it's pretty easy. Made a mistake once, but that's okay. Moved on and got it laid down anyway. So the steps I've done so far have been to sand down the epoxy coating to give it a little bit of a rough coat to help the fiberglass resin adhere. Found a little bit of separation between the firewall pan and the seat bottom pan where they join. So pulled up as much of that as I can, separated all the loose material, used a wire wheel and ground that down to bare metal, and then painted the entire floor pan with some satin black Rust-Oleum. Nothing special with that paint, it's just your standard Harbor Freight, standard Home Depot black satin Rust-Oleum. Once that was laid down, let that cure, and then went in again, rough sanded that, and in the previous video you saw where I laid down the fiberglass. Made one mistake on mixing the resin and the hardener and had it gel up on me, so I had to pull out that initial layer of fiberglass and quickly ran off to the auto parts store, got another box of fiberglass and laid the second set down pretty easily. Went in pretty good. It was still tacky, so lucky enough the resin hadn't completely cured, and when I went to lay down the second sheet of fiberglass, it went in pretty good. So that's what we're going to look at today, is what that fiberglass looks like. It's been about a week. Usually only takes a few hours to cure, but this is a weekend project for the most part, so I work on it on the weekends. Laid that resin down last weekend, so it sat for a week. So let's see what it looks like. Alright, so here is that passenger floor pan. As you can see, this is the rest of the interior. It's all been epoxy coated. Here's the driver's side, pretty clean. Working on converting it from manual drum brakes to power disc brakes. I'll touch on that a little bit in a later video. Got that system put in about 85%. So here is the passenger floor pan. As you can see, there's the daylight coming through from the holes, but this is all sealed up. This is completely covered. The holes, all that is the light coming through the resin. But this is nice and solid. This works really good. I'll probably coat this either with just black spray paint. It's pretty solid, so I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. Like I said, here it is, pretty solid. Looks pretty good. There's no flex in the pan anymore, where there was a little bit. Here you see a little bit of flex, but that's okay. Like I said, this isn't a concourse restoration. This isn't going to be a race car. I'll probably take it to some shows, but this is never going to get seen. This is going to get covered up with sound deadening and carpeting, so this will never get seen. Like I said, here's where it's blended from the fiberglass cloth out and overlaid it a little bit up into the tunnel wall and have that overlay all the way around to make sure that that seals. Really happy with all this. Once I go to paint it, I will rust sand it. So this is the other area that I had some concerns with, was in here. There is a little pocket right here that I'm going to have to work with. What I'll probably do is just sand this down in here. I'll probably sand this fiberglass down a little bit on this bead, because there was a hole right here in the previous videos that you saw. The fiberglass did, the resin itself, you see, kind of folded over. So I'll probably sand that down a little bit, and then just like all of this up here, this is seam sealer that's put in from the factory. I'll probably put a bead of seam sealer all the way through here to cover that up. Here is the hole that's cut out for the floor pan drain. I'll have to cut this out, sand it down, smooth it, and then there's another hole here that I'll have to do the same thing with, cutting this out. And then the rubber plugs will go back in there. And then this is the last part where this sheet covered up. Like I said, this box was purchased from O'Reilly's. It was a box that had everything in it. It was an 18 by 24 inch sheet of the cloth, and then the resin, the hardener, a mixing stick, and a mixing tray. I believe it cost about 35 bucks. So between the one I made a mistake on, and then the second one that I put in, a few hours here and there of work, half a can maybe of spray paint that I put down with the black. So I'm invested maybe $100 worth of money into repairing this floor pan. Otherwise, cutting this out, laying in a new floor pan, and welding it all in would have cost easily 3 to 5 times that much in labor and having it done. Like I said, for me, this is what I'm working on in a carport. As you see, this is just a temporary or a portable carport that I purchased from Harbor Freight. So it sits in my driveway like this. I don't have the means to move it. It doesn't have tires bolted onto it yet. The suspension's put on, but it's no wheels and tires, no steering yet, as you can see. So the car is not movable, and this is holding me up from doing quite a bit more of the work. So until this was repaired, I couldn't lay the sound deadening down, couldn't finish the interior, couldn't put the carpeting in, can't really finish up the bottom of it. So this was a pretty big snag in the repair. So I'll climb underneath the bottom and we'll show you what the bottom looks like. All right, so here is the bottom of the floor pan. As you can see, there are some of those holes. Here's that fiberglass resin, or excuse me, the fiberglass cloth. I got a little bit of the resin on the outside here, but that's okay. That's going to get cut out. That'll get trimmed back and sealed up again. And then here are the holes towards the front of the car. As you can see, some of that resin, I can feel where it's pushed through. You can see it on this one pretty well, how that resin has made its way through all these holes and filled those holes in pretty good. So the bottom side will be coated also, and I'll show you what I did with the fender wells. This will be sanded down, and then it'll be coated with Herculiner bed liner. So all of this will be sealed up pretty solid, and I'll be pretty happy with being able to drive this. So this is the Herculiner bed liner that I used inside the wheel well so far. I like how it's got the texture on it. I think it kind of matches what the original undercoating looked like. Like I said, this is used for truck bed liners. Also did some research on this. It's pretty solid stuff. I think it's going to be a lot more solid than using the rubberized coating. This is an epoxy based kind of bed liner. So I did that bed liner on the front and the rear wheel wells Like I said, I think it matches pretty well on what was originally done with the undercoating. Pretty strong stuff. Should hold up pretty well. And that's what I'm also going to use for the inside, for the underside for sure of that floor pan. So that's where we're at now. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with laying down that fiberglass. I think it's worked pretty well. Absolutely going to use the Herculiner on the bottom side of the entire car, finish that off. Not going to do the engine bay, probably start about 2/3 of the way down the transmission tunnel, but I will do the frame rails. I've already done the frame rails in the back. I will do completely underneath the floor pans, the seat pans and all that stuff, the transmission tunnel, underneath the cabin. Not going to put it inside of the engine bay. I'm pretty happy with just a regular satin black inside the engine bay. Might put it on the inside of the passenger side floor pan just to give an extra coat of seal in there, because I know it's, like I said, I know it's pretty strong stuff. It should be working pretty well. So that's where we're at right now with Project 68. That's pretty much going to wrap up everything I've done for the floor pan repair for that rust. So probably touch up a little bit on the interior once I move forward on painting on the inside. That'll be a separate video. It won't really be linked to this. It'll be linked, but it's not going to be linked. So I mean, it's all one car, but it's, hey, get here. A little bit of dust falling. Don't even know where that came from. But like I said, this is Project 68. So keep track of the videos. Like them, comment on them as much, whenever you can. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep posting as many videos as I can. Some of them will be how-tos like this one was. Some of them are just going to be project videos. But I want to try and document this rebuild to hopefully help other people that are doing what I'm doing. I've used some videos on YouTube to help me with what I've done so far. So hopefully this helps also with anybody else, a little bit different perspective. I know a lot of people think you need to cut that floor pan out completely and replace it. Concourse registration, absolutely cut it out. Heavier rust where it's actually not structural, absolutely cut it out. But for me, it was just some pinhole rust and some pitting, and I think it was pretty structurally sound. Laying down even just that one sheet of fiberglass has strengthened it up quite a bit. This is just going to be a weekend car. It's not a concourse car. It'll go to shows here and there, but I'm not looking at entering this in anything Concours d'Elegance or anything like that. It's just a project for me to work on. So hopefully you like the videos. Hopefully you enjoy them. Hopefully you learned something out of it. I've learned stuff out of it already. Like I said, I made that mistake with the resin. So use that as a learning tool. If you want to put down the fiberglass, measure it out a little bit better. I probably should have actually measured that hardener and split it in half, and measured the resin and split it in half, and then made it in 2 separate batches completely instead of guessing on how many drops I need to put in it. That was a mistake by me. I thought I could, do a little bit better job on that, but I didn't. So we're here to learn. I'm here to learn. I always push forward on learning. Make a mistake, it's not that big a deal. It's how you recover and how you move forward. So like I said, I'm A3R. This is Project 68. Peace to everybody. Enjoy the show. Enjoy your life. Have a great Mustang day. See you back on the web. Project 68.